Hey everyone, welcome back to Deep Vale Sleep Stories, where the past whispers its quiet tales to guide you into a peaceful rest. Tonight, we're stepping into the heart of an ancient village, a humble settlement nestled among rolling hills, some 3,000 years ago, where the world feels raw and unspoiled, untouched by the hum of modern life. Picture yourself standing at the edge of this muddy hamlet, the air thick with the earthy scent of damp soil, the faint musk of grazing, goats drifting from a nearby pen, and the smoky whisper of a fire still smoldering from the night before. The sky above stretches wide and endless, a canvas of soft gray painted with streaks of dawn's first light, the sun just beginning to peek over the horizon, its golden rays filtering through a thin veil of mist that clings to the ground. The village around you is a cluster of simple huts, their walls crafted from sun-baked mud and straw, their roofs a patchwork of woven reeds and grasses, swaying gently in the morning breeze. The cobblestone paths, worn smooth by generations of barefoot steps, glisten with the remnants of last night's rain, each stone a silent witness to the lives lived here, the struggles faced, and the quiet joys shared. You step forward, the cool, wet earth squishing beneath your bare feet, a sensation that grounds you in this ancient moment, and approach your own hut. A modest shelter that's been your home since the last harvest. The doorway is framed by a rough-hewn wooden post, its surface weathered and splintered, draped with a tattered cloth that flutters like a tired flag in the wind, letting in slivers of light that dance across the packed dirt floor inside. The walls are thick with layers of mud, their surface cracked in places where the sun has baked them too hard, and the roof above sags slightly, its thatch darkened by moisture, a sign of the challenges that await you each night. You push the cloth aside, the fabric rough against your fingers, and step inside, the air heavy with the musty scent of wet straw and the faint tang of wood smoke from a small fire pit in the corner, its embers glowing faintly in the dimness. Your bed is a simple mat of woven rushes, topped with a thin wool blanket that's frayed at the edges, and as you settle onto it, you feel the chill of the damp ground seeping through, a reminder of the leaky roof that's been your nightly companion. The night before was no different. A relentless rain had drummed against the thatch, each drop a persistent intruder that found its way through the cracks, dripping onto the floor, onto your mat, onto your face as you tried to sleep. You can still hear the echo of those goteras, a rhythmic plink, plink, plink that filled the darkness, driving you to shift your bedding, to place clay pots and woven baskets to catch the streams, all to no avail. The hut, for all its sturdiness, in the dry season becomes a sieve when the rains come, its walls weeping with every storm, its roof offering more of a suggestion than a shield. You rub your eyes, the memory of that soggy night lingering, and smile wryly at the thought. Imagine being an ancient villager, tucked into your leaky home, the drip landing squarely on your forehead, a relentless alarm clock of nature's design. It's a struggle that's as old as the hills, a battle against the elements that's both frustrating and oddly endearing. A story written in mud and water. This tale isn't just about the leaks, though. It's about the life that unfolds within those fragile walls, the resilience of the people who called this hut home, and the quiet wisdom they gained from every dripping night. We'll journey through the soggy reality of daily life, uncover why those roofs gave way to the rain, explore the clever fixes they devised, and trace the legacy of those leaky huts to the comforts we enjoy today, all wrapped in the gentle embrace of a story meant to lull you into tranquility. The sounds of the village, the patter of rain, the rustle of reeds, the distant call of a rooster, will guide you, blending with the rhythm of this ancient life to soothe your mind as the day fades away. If you find yourself drifting into this tale, I'd love to hear from you. Hit that like button, subscribe for more Deep Vale adventures through history, science, and myth, and drop a comment below. What's the worst home repair you've ever dealt with? Did a leaky roof keep you up too? Where are you settling in to listen tonight? Under a starry sky or wrapped in a warm blanket? Your stories add to this journey, a shared thread that connects us across time, so let's weave them together. Take a deep breath now. Feel the cool mist of that ancient morning against your skin, and let the sounds of the village carry you into this soggy, sleepy adventure. The hut awaits, with all its quirks and charms ready to tell its tale. The morning unfolds slowly over your ancient village, a humble settlement cradled in a shallow valley some 3,000 years ago. Its landscape a rugged tapestry of rolling hills and muddy plains, dotted with patches of wild grass and the occasional gnarled tree that clings to the earth. The air is cool and heavy, saturated with the earthy scent of damp soil, the faint musk of goats grazing nearby, and the lingering tang of wood smoke from the fires that burned through the night to fend off the chill. The sky above is a vast expanse of soft gray, streaked with the golden hues of dawn as the sun struggles to pierce through a thin veil of mist that clings to the ground, its tendrils curling around the bases of the huts like ghostly fingers. The village itself is a cluster of simple dwellings, their walls crafted from sun-baked mud mixed with straw, their surfaces cracked and weathered, and their roofs a patchwork of woven reeds and grasses, sagging under the weight of last night's rain. The cobblestone paths, little more than a scattering of smoothed stones laid by hand, glisten with moisture, their uneven surfaces reflecting the faint light in shimmering patches, a silent testament to the lives lived here, the struggles endured, and the quiet resilience that defines this place. You step out from your hut, the tattered cloth that serves as a doorway brushing against your arm, its rough texture a familiar sensation as you push it aside. The ground beneath your bare feet is cool and slick, the mud squishing between your toes with each step, a grounding feeling that anchors you to this ancient moment. The hut behind you is your sanctuary, a modest shelter built with the sweat of your hands and the help of your neighbors, its walls thick with layers of mud that have been packed and repacked over the seasons, their surface pocked with cracks where the sun has baked them too hard. The roof above is a weave of dried reeds and grasses, tied together with rough twine, its thatch darkened by moisture, its edges drooping where the rain has seeped in, leaving dark stains that trickle down the interior walls. Inside, the floor is packed dirt, smoothed by years of footsteps, and your bed is a simple mat of woven rushes, topped with a thin wool blanket that's frayed at the edges, its fibers damp from the night's leaks. You pause in the doorway, the cool air brushing against your face, and take a deep breath, the scent of wet earth and straw filling your lungs, a reminder of the soggy reality that awaits you each morning. The village is stirring now, its rhythm, gentle but steady, a quiet awakening that mirrors the rising sun. Women gather at the communal well, their clay jugs balanced on hips, their voices a soft murmur as they draw water from the muddy depths, sharing tales of the night. How the rain kept them awake, how a neighbor's goat wandered into a leaking hut, how the baker's fire nearly went out. Men head to the fields, their tools, wooden hoes, flint sickles, slung over shoulders, their steps heavy with purpose, their faces lined with the quiet weight of their work. Children dart between the huts, their laughter bright and unrestrained, chasing a stray chicken or kicking a leather ball patched with thread, their small feet leaving prints in the mud that the morning light catches like tiny sculptures. You watch them for a moment, a smile tugging at your lips, their energy a stark contrast to the weariness that clings to you, the dampness of your clothes a lingering echo of the night before. The rooster nearby lets out a hoarse crow, its voice cracking like an old hinge, pulling you from your thoughts, and you turn back to your hut knowing the day's tasks won't wait. Inside, the evidence of last night's rain is everywhere. The floor is dotted with small puddles, their surfaces rippling as a stray drop falls from the roof. A plink, plink, plink that echoes in the stillness. Your mat is soggy at one end, the rush is darkened where the water soaked through, and your blanket bears damp patches, its wool heavy with moisture that clings to your skin as you touch it. You move to the center of the hut, where you'd shifted your bedding in the night trying to escape the drips, and find a clay pot you'd placed to catch the leaks, now half full with murky water that reflects the dim light filtering through the doorway. The walls, too, are streaked with dampness, the mud softened in places where the rain has seeped through, leaving trails that drip slowly onto the floor, a relentless trickle that seems to mock your efforts to stay dry. You sigh, running a hand through your hair, and feel the frustration of another sleepless night, the cold drops landing on your forehead keeping you awake until the storm finally passed, leaving you exhausted but determined to face the day. Your hut, for all its simplicity, is a marvel of ancient ingenuity, built with the materials at hand. Mud from the riverbank, straw from the fields, reeds gathered from the marshlands nearby. The walls were shaped by hand, packed layer by layer until they stood firm, their thickness a shield against the wind, though not the water. The roof was woven with care, the reeds tied tight with twine made from plant fibers, its thatch layered to keep out the sun and, in theory, the rain. But theory and practice are different beasts, and the rain has a way of finding every flaw, every gap where the reeds have rotted, every crack where the mud has dried and split, every seam where the twine has stretched. You've watched your neighbors build their huts, their hands caked with mud, their laughter rising as they work together, and you've helped raise a wall or two. The communal effort, a bond that holds the village together. But no matter how well you build, the leaks persist. A reminder that nature is the true master here and you are its humble student. You think back to the night before, the storm that rolled in with a rumble of thunder, its dark clouds swallowing, the stars, its rain hammering against the thatch like 1,000 tiny fists. You'd lain on your mat, listening to the drip, 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 each drop a small defeat, and moved your bedding to avoid the worst of it, only to find a new leak forming where you'd shifted. The pot you placed caught some of the water, but not enough. And by morning, the floor was a patchwork of puddles, the air thick with the musty scent of wet straw and mud. You chuckle softly at the memory, the sound lost in the quiet of the hut. A wry acknowledgement of the absurdity. Your roof's more of a suggestion than a shelter, letting the rain in like an unwelcome guest, dripping onto your face as if to say, "Good morning, time to wake up." It's a struggle that's both frustrating and familiar, a daily dance with the elements that defines life in this ancient world. The village outside continues its morning routine, the sounds filtering through the doorway, the clatter of a jug being filled, the low moo of a cow being led to pasture, the rustle of leaves as the breeze picks up. You step back outside, the mud squishing underfoot, and survey your hut, its sagging roof a silent challenge. The construction is practical, born of necessity rather than luxury, using what the land provides: mud for strength, straw for insulation, reeds for flexibility. But practicality has its limits, and the rain exposes them all. The mud walls, while thick, soften when wet, their cracks widening with each storm, allowing water to seep through like a slow invasion. The thatch, though, layered, rots over time, the reeds breaking down under the weight of moisture, leaving gaps that let the rain pour in. There's no tar, no pitch, no modern sealant, just the hope that the next layer of straw will hold, a hope that's dashed with every new leak. You think of the elders, their faces lined with the wisdom of years, who sit by the fire on drier nights, sharing stories of huts past. They speak of a time when the rains were fiercer, the huts smaller, the leaks more relentless, and yet they survived, their laughter rising above the drip of water, their hands busy with repairs. One tale stands out: a neighbor whose roof collapsed entirely during a storm, the thatch crashing down in a soggy heap, leaving him drenched but grinning as the village rallied to rebuild. You smile at the thought, the image of that soggy grin, a reminder that this life, for all its leaks, is one of community, of endurance, of finding humor in the face of nature's whims. Your hut may leak every night, but it's your home, a place where you've learned to live with the drip, to adapt to the soggy reality, and to carry on with the quiet strength of those who came before. The day stretches ahead, the sun climbing higher, its light filtering through the mist to warm the village. But the memory of last night's leaks lingers, a damp shadow in your mind. You pick up a handful of straw from a pile by the hut, planning to patch the roof later, and feel the rough texture against your palm, a promise of work to come. The rooster crows again, more insistent now, and you turn toward the fields, the mud clinging to your feet, ready to face the day. This soggy reality is your life, a dance with the elements, a story written in leaks and laughter, and you're just beginning to tell it. The day has unfolded in the ancient village with its familiar rhythm, the morning mist giving way to a pale sunlight that bathes the muddy paths and thatched huts in a soft, golden glow. But as the afternoon deepens, the sky begins to shift, a subtle darkening that creeps across the horizon like a slow-moving shadow. You're out in the fields, A short walk from the village, your hands stained with earth as you gather the last of the season's herbs, their leaves sharp with the scent of sage and thyme, their stems damp from the morning's dew. The air feels heavier now, thick with the promise of rain, and you glance upward, noticing the clouds gathering in the distance. Towering masses of gray and violet, their edges tinged with the last of the sun's light, their bellies swollen with the weight of a coming storm. The wind picks up, a cool gust that rustles the grass around you, carrying the faint rumble of thunder, a low growl that rolls across the hills like the voice of an ancient god. You know what this means. The rainy season is here, and with it the nightly battle against the leaks in your hut, a battle you fought before and will fight again tonight. You gather your herbs into a woven basket, its fibers rough against your fingers, and make your way back to the village, the path beneath your feet slick with mud that clings to your soles, slowing your steps. The village is abuzz with quiet urgency, the signs of the storm stirring everyone into action. Women pull their clay jugs closer to their huts, their voices sharp as they call their children inside, the laughter of the morning replaced by hurried commands. Men return from the fields, their tools slung over shoulders, their faces set with the determination of those who've weathered storms before, their tunics already damp from the first stray drops that fall from the sky. The goats bleat nervously, their herder guiding them into a pen with a wooden staff, the animals' hooves kicking up mud as they huddle together. Sensing the change in the air, you pass the communal well, its surface rippling as a drop lands, then another, a prelude to the deluge to come, and you quicken your pace, the basket bouncing against your hip, the scent of herbs mingling with the earthy tang of the approaching rain. By the time you reach your hut, the sky has darkened fully, the clouds now a solid wall of gray that stretches from horizon to horizon, their weight pressing down on the village like a heavy lid. You push aside the tattered cloth at the doorway, the fabric damp against your fingers, and step inside, the air within cool and musty, the scent of wet straw and mud stronger now as the storm looms. You set the basket of herbs down by the fire, pit, its embers glowing faintly, and glance around, taking stock of your preparations. Your mat of woven rushes is pushed to one corner, away from the worst of the leaks you've come to know, and a clay pot sits beneath a particularly troublesome spot on the roof, its surface already dotted with a few stray drops from earlier showers. The wool blanket on your mat is still damp from last night, its fibers heavy with moisture, and you shake your head, a wry smile tugging at your lips. Another night of dodging drips, another night of battling the elements, all from the fragile shelter you call home. The storm arrives with a suddenness that catches your breath, a roar of wind that shakes the walls of your hut, the tattered cloth at the doorway flapping wildly as if trying to flee. The rain follows, a torrent that hammers against the thatch like 1,000 tiny fists, each drop a sharp percussion that fills the air with a relentless rhythm. You light the fire pit, the small flame flickering to life with a crackle, its warmth a feeble defense against the chill that seeps through the walls, and you settle onto your mat, pulling the damp blanket over your shoulders, the scent of wool and smoke a comforting contrast to the chaos outside. But the rain is no respecter of comfort, and within moments the first leaks begin. A drip here, a trickle there, the plink, plink, plink of water hitting the dirt floor, the clay pot, your mat, a symphony of soggy defeat that you've heard too, many times before. You shift your mat again, trying to find a dry spot, but the leaks are relentless, each one finding a new path through the thatch, the reeds parting under the weight of the water like a sieve that's given up on its purpose. The roof, for all its layers, is no match for the storm. Its thatch, woven from dried grasses and reeds, has rotted in places, the fibers breaking down after seasons of rain, leaving gaps that let the water pour through in steady streams. You watch as a drop falls, catching the firelight in a fleeting shimmer before it lands in the clay pot with a splash. The pot now nearly full, its contents spilling over the rim to form a puddle on the floor. Another stream runs down the wall, the mud softening under the onslaught, its surface glistening as the water carves a path through the cracks, dripping onto the floor in a steady trickle that pools around your belongings. You grab a woven basket, its fibers frayed but still sturdy, and place it under the new leak, the sound of the drip changing to a muffled thud as the water hits the weave. a small victory in a losing battle. The walls themselves are part of the problem. Their construction a testament to the ingenuity of your people, but also to their limits. The mud, mixed with straw for strength, was packed by hand, layer by layer, until it stood firm, a barrier against the wind and the sun. But mud is no match for water, and as the rain soaks through, the walls begin to weep, their surface softening, the cracks widening with each storm, allowing water to seep through like a slow invasion. You've seen this happen before. The walls turning to sludge in the worst storms, their structure holding but their integrity fading, leaving you to patch them with fresh mud when the rain finally stops. The straw mixed into the mud helps, its fibers binding the material together, but it too breaks down over time, rotting in the dampness, leaving the walls vulnerable to the rain's relentless assault. You touch the wall now, your fingers coming away slick with mud, and you sigh, the scent of wet earth filling your nostrils, a reminder of the fragility of this home you've built. The thatch is the weakest link, though, its design a compromise between necessity and nature. You remember weaving it with your neighbors, the reeds fresh from the marshlands, their green stems pliable as you tied them together with twine, layering them thick to keep out the elements. But reeds rot, and the twine stretches and the layers shift, leaving gaps that the rain exploits with cruel precision. You've tried to patch it, adding more thatch when you can. But the rainy season is unforgiving, and each storm widens the holes, letting in more water, turning your roof into a sieve that's more invitation than protection. You chuckle softly, the sound lost in the roar of the storm, and murmur to yourself, "This roof's more sieve than shield. It's practically inviting the rain for a sleepover." The humor is a small comfort, a way to laugh at the absurdity of your situation, a way to find light in the soggy darkness of the night. You think of your neighbors, each of them facing their own battles with the rain, their huts as leaky as yours, their nights as restless. You remember a story that spread through the village last season, one that still brings a smile to your face when you think of it. Old Tana, a widow with a sharp tongue and a hut even older than yours, had faced a particularly brutal storm one night, the kind that shook the hills with thunder and lightning, the rain coming down in sheets that turned the paths to rivers. Tana's roof had held for most of the night, but as the storm reached its peak, a section of the thatch gave way entirely, collapsing in a soggy heap onto her sleeping mat, drenching her in an instant. The next morning, the village had gathered to help her rebuild, their hands caked with mud, their laughter rising above the squelch of the wet earth as Tana stood in the doorway, her arms crossed, her face a mix of irritation and amusement. "The gods must think I need a bath," she'd grumbled, but her eyes twinkled with humor, and by the end of the day her hut was patched, her spirits lifted by the community that rallied around her. You smile at the memory, the image of Tana's soggy grin, a reminder that you're not alone in this struggle, that the leaks are a shared burden, a shared story, a shared laugh. The storm outside shows no sign of slowing, the rain a relentless drumbeat against the thatch, the wind howling. Through the gaps in the walls, the fire pit flickering as a stray gust sneaks in. You pull the blanket tighter around your shoulders, its dampness a cold weight against your skin, and shift the clay pot again, its contents sloshing as you move it to catch a new stream. The leaks are everywhere now, a chorus of drips and trickles that fills the hut, a soggy symphony that keeps you on edge, your eyes darting to each new sound, each new intrusion. You think about the ancients who built these huts, their hands shaping the mud, their voices rising in song as they worked, their lives tied to the land in a way that's both beautiful and brutal. They had no weather predictions, no tools to seal their roofs, no materials to keep the water out, just mud, straw, and the hope that the next storm would be kinder. You feel a kinship with them, a connection to their struggle, their resilience, their ability to find humor in the face of nature's whims. The rainy season is a force of its own, a cycle as old as the hills, its patterns etched into the memory of the village. You've heard the elders speak of it, their voices low and reverent, their stories filled with storms that reshaped the land, rivers that overflowed, huts that stood or fell under the weight of the rain. They speak of seasons when the rains came early, catching the village unprepared, the thatch still fresh and untested, the walls still soft from the summer's heat. They speak of seasons when the rains lingered, turning the fields to mud, the paths to streams, the huts to soggy shells that barely held together. You've lived through enough seasons to know the truth of their words, to feel the weight of the rain on your roof, to hear the drip of water on your mat, to understand why these huts leak every night. It's a reality born of necessity, of living with the land rather than against it, of making do with what you have even when what you have isn't enough. The fire pit flickers again, its light casting shadows on the walls, the flames a small comfort in the cold, wet night. You lie back on your mat, the blanket pulled tight, and listen to the rain, the drips, the wind letting their rhythm wash over you. A lullaby of the elements that's both frustrating and familiar. The leaks may keep you awake, but they also tell a story of survival, of ingenuity, of a life lived in harmony with the land, even when the land fights back. You close your eyes, the sound of the storm filling your mind, and let yourself drift, knowing that the night will be long, the leaks will be many, but the morning will come, bringing with it the chance to mend, to laugh, to carry on. The storm has settled into a steady rhythm outside your ancient hut, the initial fury of the rain giving way to a persistent drizzle that taps against the thatched roof like a soft, unending drumbeat, its sound a constant companion in the cool, damp night. The air inside is thick with the musty scent of wet straw, the earthy tang of mud-soaked walls, and the faint warmth of the fire pit, its embers glowing faintly in the corner, casting a dim, flickering light across the room. You're seated on your woven rush mat, the dampness seeping through to chill your legs, the wool blanket draped over your shoulders heavy with moisture, its fibers clinging to your skin like a cold embrace. The floor beneath you is a patchwork of puddles, their surfaces rippling as new drops fall from the roof. The clay pot you placed earlier now overflowing, its water spilling onto the dirt in a slow, steady stream. The walls glisten with dampness, the mud softened by the rain, its cracks widened to let in trickles that run down in glistening trails, pooling around your meager belongings, a basket of herbs, a clay jug, a flint knife wrapped in leather. The night stretches long ahead, the leaks a relentless reminder of your hut's fragility. But with the storm comes the challenge, and the chance, to survive the drip with the ingenuity of your ancient forebears. You shift your mat again, dragging it across the floor with a soft scrape, the rushes catching on the wet dirt as you seek a drier spot. Though every corner seems to have its own leak, a new drip forming where you least expect it. The blanket slips, and you pull it back, the damp wool brushing against your cheek, its scent mingling with the smoky air from the fire pit. You reach for another clay pot, its surface cool and rough against your fingers, and place it under a fresh trickle. The sound of the water hitting the clay a sharp plink that echoes in the quiet. But the pot fills quickly, its contents sloshing over the edge, and you grab a woven basket instead, its fibers frayed but still sturdy, positioning it to catch the overflow. The thud of drops against the weave a muffled counterpoint to the rain outside. You lie back, the mat uneven beneath you, and listen to the symphony of drips, plink, thud, splash, a soggy lullaby that keeps you on edge, your eyes darting to each new sound, each new intrusion, your mind racing for a solution to this nightly ordeal. Surviving the drip isn't just about enduring, it's about adapting, finding ways to outsmart the leaks with the tools and knowledge you have. You've learned a few tricks over the seasons, small adjustments that make the difference between a soaked mat and a dry night's sleep. Though they're never foolproof. You start with the roof, the weakest link in your hut's defense, and rise to your knees, the damp floor seeping into your tunic as you inspect the thatch. The reeds are sodden, their fibers breaking apart under the weight of the rain, the twine stretched and frayed, leaving gaps that let the water pour through. You grab a handful of dry straw from a pile by the door, its texture rough and brittle against your palm, and climb onto a low stool, the wood creaking under your weight, to patch the worst of the holes. You weave the straw into the thatch, pressing it down with your hands, the scent of dry grass mixing with the wet air, but the rain is relentless, and within moments the new patch is soaked, the straw sagging under the weight, letting the water through with a mocking drip. You chuckle softly, the sound lost in the storm, and mutter, "You're down, your blanket's soaked, but at least the drip missed your nose." Small victories. The humor is a lifeline, a way to laugh at the futility, a way to keep going when the leaks seem to win. Another trick you've tried is sealing the walls, a task that's as much art as necessity in this rainy season. You scoop a handful of fresh mud from a bucket by the fire pit. Its cool, sticky texture coating your fingers, and press it into the cracks where the water seeps through, smoothing it with your palm until it blends with the wall. The mud is soft, pliable, a mix of earth and straw you gathered earlier, and for a moment it holds, the trickle slowing to a drip. But the rain finds a new path, the mud softening under the onslaught, sliding down the wall in a muddy smear that leaves you with a wet sleeve and a wry grin. You've heard of others using animal fat, a trick passed down by a traveler from a drier land, smearing it onto the walls to repel the water, its greasy scent filling the hut with a pungent aroma. You tried it once, the fat slick against your hands, but it washed away in the next storm, leaving the walls as leaky as before. And you laugh at the memory, the image of your greasy fingers, a small comedy in the night. The community around you offers its own solutions, a collective wisdom that binds the village together in the face of the rain. You think of your neighbor Mara, a wiry woman with a quick smile, who showed you how to reinforce the roof with thicker layers of thatch, her hands deft as she wove the reeds, her voice steady as she explained the trick. "Layer it heavy," she'd said, her eyes twinkling, "and pray the wind doesn't undo it." You tried her method, adding extra straw until the roof sagged under the weight, but the rain still found its way through, the thatch collapsing in a soggy heap one night, leaving you drenched and laughing as Mara helped you rebuild. Another neighbor, old Kale, a man with hands gnarled like tree roots, taught you to use pelts to cover the interior, draping a goatskin over your mat to shield it from the drips, its rough texture a barrier that held for a time. But the pelt grew heavy with water, slipping off in the night, and you woke to find yourself soaked, Kale's cackling laughter echoing as he patched it back up the next day. These fixes are imperfect, but they're yours, a testament to the ingenuity born of necessity, a dance with the elements that keeps you going. The rainy season stretches across weeks, a cycle as old as the hills, its patterns etched into the village's memory, its challenges a test of your resilience. You've heard the elders speak of it, their voices low and reverent around the fire pit on drier nights, their stories filled with storms that reshaped the land, rivers that overflowed, huts that stood or fell under the rain's weight. They speak of a time when the rains came early, catching the village unprepared, the thatch still green and untested, the walls soft from the summer's heat. They speak of seasons when the rains lingered, turning the fields to mud, the paths to streams, the huts to soggy shells that barely held together, their occupants moving their mats from leak to leak, their laughter rising above the drip of water. You've lived through enough seasons to know the truth of their words, to feel the weight of the rain on your roof, to hear the plink of water on your mat, to understand why these huts leak every night. It's a reality born of the land, of living with its rhythms rather than against them, of making do with mud and straw, even when the mud washes away and the straw rots. The fixes you've tried reflect this balance, a blend of practicality and hope, a response to a world where the rain is both life-giver and destroyer. In drier regions, you've heard from travelers, the huts are built with stone or baked brick, their roofs tiled with clay, a luxury your village can't afford. Here, in the wetter lowlands, you rely on what the earth provides, mud for walls, straw for roofs, reeds for thatch, and adapt as best you can. You've seen huts in the hills, their roofs slanted to shed water, a design you've tried to mimic by propping up one side of your thatch with a stick, the effort leaving you with a lopsided shelter that leaks just as much, but in a new pattern. You've heard of tribes beyond the mountains who use tree bark, its thick layers a natural shield, but your forest yields only thin branches, and the bark peels away in the rain, leaving you with a soggy mess. These differences shape your fixes, your solutions tailored to the land you know, a patchwork of trial and error that keeps you dry, or at least drier, through the night. The community plays a vital role in this survival, a network of hands and voices that lifts you up when the leaks overwhelm. You think of the night Mara's hut took a direct hit from a falling branch, the thatch collapsing in a cascade of wet reeds, her mat soaked through, her laughter ringing out as she stood. In the doorway, water dripping from her hair, the village rallied, their hands muddy, their voices cheerful, rebuilding her roof with extra layers, their teamwork a warmth that outshone the storm. You've joined such efforts, your fingers caked with mud as you packed walls, your voice joining, the chorus of songs that rose above the rain, a tradition that turns labor into connection. Last season, when Cale's hut sprang a leak that flooded his floor, you brought a spare pelt, your hand steady as you draped it over his mat, your laughter mixing with his as the water found a new path. These moments are the glue that holds the village together, a shared resilience that turns a leaky night into a story of survival, a tale of humor and hope. The fire pit flickers again, its light dancing on the walls, the flames a small beacon in the cold, wet night. You lie back on your mat, the blanket pulled tight, and listen to the rain, the drips, the wind, letting their rhythm wash over you. A lullaby of the elements that's both frustrating and familiar. The leaks may keep you awake, but they also teach you to adapt, to laugh, to lean on your neighbors, to find strength in the soggy darkness. You close your eyes, the sound of the storm filling your mind, and let yourself drift, knowing that the night will be long, the fixes will be imperfect, but the morning will come, bringing with it the chance to mend, to share, to carry on. The storm has finally passed, leaving the ancient village in a quiet stillness that feels almost sacred. The air cleansed by the rain, the earth softened into a muddy embrace that squishes beneath your bare feet as you step outside your hut at dawn. The sky above is a pale expanse of blue, streaked with wisps of white clouds that drift lazily across the horizon. The sun rising with a gentle warmth that bathes the landscape in golden light, its rays catching the droplets still clinging to the thatched roofs, making them shimmer like tiny jewels. The village is waking slowly, its rhythm gentle after the chaos of the night, the sounds of morning filtering through the air, the soft clucking of chickens scratching in the mud, the low moo of a cow being led to pasture, the faint hum of voices as neighbors greet each other, their faces weary but bright with the relief of a new day. The scent of wet earth fills your lungs, mingled with the fresh aroma of grass and the smoky tang of fires being stoked for the morning meal. A comforting blend that grounds you in this ancient moment. A moment of renewal after the soggy ordeal of the night. You stand in the doorway of your hut, the tattered cloth brushing against your arm as you survey the damage, the mud beneath your feet cool and slick, the air carrying the faint chill of the morning breeze. Inside, the evidence of the storm is everywhere. The floor is a patchwork of puddles, their surfaces reflecting the light that filters through the doorway. The clay pots and woven baskets you placed to catch the drips now full, their contents spilling over in muddy rivulets. The walls are streaked with dampness, the mud softened and cracked, and the thatched roof sags under the weight of the rain, its reeds darkened and frayed, a silent testament to the leaks that kept you awake. You touch the wall, your fingers coming away slick with mud, and shake your head, a wry smile tugging at your lips as you murmur, "Another night, another drip. Survived again." The humor is a small comfort, a way to laugh at the struggle, a way to find strength in the soggy aftermath of the storm. You set to work, gathering a handful of fresh straw from a pile by the door, its texture rough against your palm, and a bucket of mud you'd prepared earlier, its earthy scent rising as you scoop it with your hands. You climb onto a low stool, the wood creaking under your weight, and begin to patch the roof, weaving the straw into the thatch, pressing it down until it holds, the scent of dry grass mixing with the wet air. The mud goes onto the walls, smoothed, over the cracks with your fingers, its cool, sticky texture a familiar sensation as you work. The rhythm of the task calming your mind, the act of mending a quiet promise of better nights ahead. You're not alone in this effort. Across the village, your neighbors are doing the same, their hands muddy, their voices rising in soft conversation as they repair their own huts, their laughter a melody that weaves through the morning air. Mara, the wiry woman with a quick smile, calls out from her doorway, her hands caked with mud. "Looks like we all took a bath last night." You laugh, the sound mingling with hers, a shared acknowledgement of the struggle, a shared joy in the act of rebuilding. The repairs are a communal effort, a tradition as old as the village itself, a dance of hands and voices that turns a soggy morning into a moment of connection. You join your neighbors. Your fingers slick with mud as you help Mara pack her walls, the straw you brought adding strength to the mix, the scent of wet earth and grass filling the air as you work. Old Kale, his hands gnarled but steady, brings a bundle of fresh reeds, his voice gruff but warm as he shares a story of a storm from his youth, when his father's hut collapsed entirely, leaving the family to sleep under the stars, their laughter echoing through the rain. The children gather too, their small hands eager to help, their laughter bright as they pat mud onto the walls, their tunics streaked with dirt, their energy a reminder of the village's enduring spirit. You work together, the mud and straw binding not just the huts but the community, a tapestry of resilience woven through every patch, every shared smile, every story told in the morning light. As you work, you think about the legacy of these leaky huts, the way they've shaped the lives of your people, the way they've shaped the future, a future you can't see but can feel in the rhythm of your hands, in the strength of the village around you. These huts, for all their flaws, are the foundation of something greater. Their soggy reality a spark for innovation, a lesson in survival that echoes through the ages. You imagine the generations that follow, their hands building on what you've learned, their huts evolving with each new idea, each new storm. In the centuries after your time, the mud and straw give way to stone and wood. The thatched roofs replaced by clay tiles, their surfaces baked hard to shed water, a design born from the leaks you've endured. You picture villages in the Roman era, their roofs slanted to channel the rain, their walls sealed with lime and sand, a mixture that hardens against the elements. A far cry from the muddy walls, you know. By the Middle Ages, you envision homes with timber frames, their roofs covered in slate, their interiors lined with plaster, a comfort that keeps the rain at bay, a legacy that begins with the huts of your village, with the drips that kept you awake, with the resilience that kept you going. The evolution of these huts isn't just about materials, it's about the spirit they embody, the spirit of adaptation, of finding solutions in the face of hardship, of turning a leak into a lesson. You think about the ancients who built these huts, their hands shaping the mud, their voices rising in song as they worked, their lives tied to the land in a way that's both beautiful and brutal. They had no modern tools, no weatherproof materials, just the earth beneath their feet and the hope that their huts would hold. They patched their roofs with straw, sealed their walls with mud, draped pelts over their mats, and when the leaks came, they laughed. They adapted. They survived. That spirit carries forward through the centuries into the homes of today. Modern houses with glass windows, tiled roofs, insulation that keeps the cold at bay, a comfort that owes its existence to the soggy nights of your ancestors, to the lessons learned in the drip of water on a woven mat. You finish your repairs, the mud smoothed, the straw woven tight, and step back to survey your work, the hut looking a little sturdier, a little drier, though you know the next storm will test it again. The village around you hums with life, the morning tasks taking shape, women grinding grain, men heading to the fields, children chasing a leather ball through the mud, their laughter a bright thread in the tapestry of the day. You think about the modern world, a place you can only imagine where homes are marvels of comfort, their roofs sealed against the rain, their walls warm and dry, their floors free of puddles. You picture people sleeping through storms, their blankets soft and dry, their nights undisturbed by the plink of water on their faces, but their comfort, for all its advancements, owes a debt to your leaky hut, to the ancients who shivered through the rain, who patched their roofs with straw, who laughed at the drips and carried on. You smile at the thought, a quiet chuckle, escaping your lips as you murmur, next time your roof leaks, thank the ancients, they got soaked so you could stay dry. It's a gentle irony, a thread that binds you to the future, a reminder that some things, resilience, humor, gratitude, are as timeless as the earth beneath your feet. The legacy of the leaky huts isn't just in the homes they inspired, it's in the lessons they taught, the stories they created, the connections they forged. You think about the nights you've spent dodging drips, the laughter you've shared with your neighbors, the repairs you've made together, and you realize that those moments are part of the legacy too. The ancients who lived in these huts, who battled the rain with mud and straw, were people like you. Simple villagers, farmers, families, all navigating a world that was as beautiful as it was challenging. They shivered, they laughed, they got up again, and their resilience became a thread that weaves through time, connecting you to the future, to the people who sleep in comfort today. You feel a swell of pride at that, a connection to a past that shaped the present, a past that turned a leak into a lesson, a drip into a story, a hut into a legacy. The sun climbs higher, its warmth drying the mud on your hands, the village settling into the day, its rhythm a quiet promise of continuity. You step back inside your hut, the floor still damp but the air lighter now, the scent of wet straw fading as the warmth creeps in. You set the clay pots aside, their contents spilled but their purpose served, and settle onto your mat, the blanket pulled over your shoulders, the fire pit crackling softly as you add a fresh piece of wood. The village outside hums with life, the leaks a memory, the repairs a triumph, the day a new chapter in the story of your ancient home. You've survived the drips, the storms, the soggy nights, and you've learned something along the way. Something about resilience, about community, about the simple act of living through time. The sun shines through the doorway, the village glows in its light, and you let the warmth guide you into the day, an ancient villager with a story to tell, a story that echoes through the ages, one drip at a time. The day has settled into a gentle quiet across your ancient village, the sun dipping below the horizon, painting the sky with strokes of orange and purple that blend into the deepening blue of night. You stand outside your hut, the cool evening, breeze brushing against your skin, carrying the faint scent of damp earth, the smoky whisper of fires being stoked within the huts, and the delicate aroma of wildflowers that bloom along the muddy paths. The thatched roof above you, patched with fresh straw and mud from the morning's work, sags slightly under the weight of the day's memories, its edges darkened by the storm, a silent reminder of the leaks that tested your resilience. The village around you glows with the soft light of fire pits, their flames flickering through doorways, casting shadows that dance across the cobblestones. The sounds of the night, crickets chirping, a distant owl hooting, the rustle of leaves. In the breeze, weaving a lullaby that wraps around you like a warm embrace. You take a deep breath, the air cool and clean, and feel the weight of the day lift. Replaced by a quiet gratitude for the soggy nights, the shared repairs, the laughter that turned leaks into lessons. From those leaky huts to this peaceful moment, the ancients have left a legacy that stretches through time, a thread of resilience that binds you to the future. You think of the nights you spent dodging drips, the mornings you patched walls with muddy hands, the community that rallied with straw and smiles, and you realize that those struggles shaped more than just your hut. They shaped the homes of today. The mud and thatch gave way to stone and tile, the soggy mats to dry floors, the relentless leaks to roofs that shed water with ease, a comfort born from the hardships you endured. You chuckle softly, the sound lost in the night, and murmur to the stars. Next time your roof leaks, smile for the ancients who slept through the storm. They got soaked so you could stay dry. It's a gentle irony, a connection that bridges centuries, a reminder that some things, endurance, humor, gratitude, are as timeless as the earth beneath your feet, as enduring as the village that glows around you. You step back inside your hut, the dirt floor cool against your feet, the fire pit crackling softly as you add a small log, its warmth seeping into the air, chasing away the dampness. You settle onto your mat, the wool blanket soft against your skin now that it's dried, the scent of smoke and earth a comforting blend as you pull it over your shoulders. The village outside fades into silence, the crickets a steady rhythm, the breeze a gentle caress, the stars peeking through the doorway to guide you into rest. You close your eyes, the memory of the leaks a distant echo, the resilience of your ancestors a quiet strength, the night a promise of peace. Sleep tight, dear listener, and join me next time for another deep veiled tale where history whispers its secrets under the stars. Let the sounds of the night, crickets, breeze, the faint crackle of fire carry you into dreams. Sweet dreams, and thank you for walking this soggy path with me. Until we meet again under the same sky.